his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last, as he was a mission of the greatest task. There was only moral regeneration. People clung to idol adoration for all nations.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Umar Ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. He was one of the fairest and just rulers of all times. He would not have any problem to rule against himself. May Allah be pleased with him, because he was brought up by the Prophet ﷺ, who took care of him and of Abu Bakr and of Uthman and of Ali and all of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. He ﷺ took real good care of them, because he knew that he was throwing the seeds for the beautiful gardens of the future by taking care of these companions of his sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and may Allah be pleased with them. Umar, it was reported that he had a dispute once with one of the companions, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and it was a dispute on a piece of land. And Abdurrahman said, well, you are the Amir, how can I get my right from you? This land is mine. And Umar says, no, it's mine. So he said, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, not by using veto, not by using his power and position, and no one could have spoken against him. He said, well, let's take a judge, and he would be the decisive person between us. And they agreed that Ubay ibn Ka'b, may Allah be pleased with him, to be the judge between them. So he looked at Abdurrahman ibn Auf and he said, claim the land is yours? He said, yes. He said, prove it to us. Bring something as a proof. And this is the norm in Islam. When two dispute, the one who is prosecuting, the one who is claiming something, has to provide proof. This is what the Prophet said, al-bayyinah ala man idda'a. Whoever claims, he has to provide the evidence. What about if he doesn't have evidence? So if he doesn't have the evidence, the Prophet says, ﷺ, and al-yameen, the oath is upon that person who denies. So Ubay asks Abdurrahman for evidence. Do you have a paper? Do you have two witnesses? Do you have anything to prove that this land is yours? He said, no. Then Ubay looked at Abdurrahman and said, okay, the second option is that Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, swears that it is his. So Ubay, out of respect to Umar, looked at Abdurrahman and says, okay, would you spare Amir al-Mu'mineen? Would you spare the Amir of believers not to swear? Because this is your right that he swears, but spare him. And here, Umar intervened and said, do not spare Amir al-Mu'mineen from swearing. I swear, because this is Allah's given right to him. You should not deprive him from this, because you are a judge, and you should judge fairly between the two disputed people, regardless of their positions. Look at this fairness from Umar, may Allah be pleased with him. And look at this fairness disappearing in courts all over the world, except in a handful. No one among the Muslims nowadays is as fair. No one is just and trying to have justice imposed and implemented, even if it meant to be against him. No one does this anymore, because people are diverting from the Quran and the Sunnah, and they're not following them, though they claim they are. It was reported that when Amr ibn al-As was appointed as the ruler of Egypt, may Allah be pleased with him, he had a son, and the son went into a race with a Coptic, one of the Christians, people of Egypt. And it so happened that the Coptic was faster than the son of Amr ibn al-As. He won the race. So he was happy with winning. The son of Amr ibn al-As came to him and he slapped him on the face, saying, "Take this, and I am the son, I am the descendant of the honorable ones." The Coptic father did not like this, but who to complain to? They told him that if you go and tell Umar, he will avenge you. So the Coptic's father went with his child, with his son, to Umar in Medina. And they went into Medina. They asked for Umar. They told him, "This is Umar." And he looked and he said, "Which one? He looks like a beggar, a peasant. He looks like anyone. This cannot be the ruler of the Muslim state. This?" They told him, "This is Umar." So he went to Umar and he told him about the story. Umar was outraged, was so angry, he immediately sent a messenger to Amr ibn al-As so that he and his son would come immediately on the spot. And this would probably take them 3 to 4 weeks travel. And they came. In the minute they came, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said what should be written by golden ink to remain until eternity, to the day of judgment. He looked harshly at Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, and said, "Since when have you enslaved the people while their mothers gave birth to them free men?" This is logical. All men are equal. Why do we have these classes, these castes? Who created you? Allah. And who created him? Allah. So what is the difference between us? Nothing. All equal. And this is exactly what Umar said to the companion of the Prophet, Amr ibn al-As. Not because you are a companion of the Prophet means that you're above the law. On the contrary, you will be punished more than anyone else. And that is why he said, "Since when have you enslaved the people without any right, while their mothers gave birth to them to be free men?" And Amr ibn al-As objected that he did not know about it, he was not aware of it, and he did not approve it. So he told him, Umar bin Khattab told Amr to reveal his head and to remove his turban so that the Coptic son would hit him on his bald head. And the Coptic said, "Well, he's not my opponent." And he told the Coptic son to hit his son, to hit Amr ibn al-As' son, who slapped him on the face, so that they would get even. Imagine this. A Coptic, he's not Muslim, and he is in a defeated country, and he was slapped by the son of the ruler. And now Umar is asking him to be even and to slap him as he slapped him. The Coptic did not do this because justice was done. And by the actions that Umar took, may Allah be pleased with him, this eased him and he would not ask for more. We have a short break. Stay tuned and inshallah we will be back.
From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last. Muhammad was the last.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was one of the greatest rulers of Islam. He was fair and just to the extent that no one felt angry with him. It was reported that one messenger from the Romans came to negotiate with him. and he entered Medina. He asked for the ruler of the Muslims, for Umar bin Khattab, and they pointed to a man sleeping in the shade of a tree. And the man looked around him and he saw people walking by him without any guards, without anything to protect him. So he came to him and he said, Subhanallah, you have ruled your people, but you've ruled them with fairness and justice. And that is why you felt secure and now you are asleep. 4 different but beautiful words stated by this non-Muslim. You have ruled, you've ruled justly, you felt secure as a result, and that's why you're sleeping and no one is coming close to you or attacking you. This was a sign of his justice, may Allah be pleased with him. Being fair and just does not mean that you mix oranges with apples. Being fair and just meant that you have to draw the line. And Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, drew the line. When it came to ruling the Muslim country and appointing people to work in the government and to take care of the Muslims, he was very strict that this role was to be given only to Muslims. Because Muslims who follow the Quran and Sunnah could only apply the Quran and Sunnah correctly. Others would not have this strong conviction, would not have this strong belief, and may neglect it. And this is not permitted in a Muslim country, in a Muslim government. And that is why when he had Abu Musa al-Ash'ari doing some jobs for him and collecting some zakat as he was doing some work for him, he came to the masjid one day and he started showing him the books that he had. And in these books were figures that were eloquently put. And Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, liked what he saw. And he asked Abu Musa about his accountant, about the man who wrote this. And Abu Musa said that he's with me, Amir al-Mu'mineen, or Umar, he's with me, but he's outside the masjid. So Umar said in astonishment, and why is that? Is he in the state of major sexual impurity? Is he junub? And he said, no, he's a Christian. He's not a Muslim. That's why we did not let him in the masjid. He said, Subhanallah, and why did you appoint a Christian when you know that Islam is prevailing and prevails all other religions? Why did you appoint a non-Muslim? He said, Umar bin Khattab, come on. This is Abu Musa. He's saying, oh Umar, he has his own religion and I get his affairs and bookkeeping. And Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, no, this is not acceptable in my government. This is not acceptable in Islam. We cannot give them a status above what Allah has given them. As long as they remain in their disbelief and they remain making sons to Allah Azza wa Jal and associating others with Allah and not following the book of Allah, the Quran, and not believing in the Prophet ﷺ, how can I get them closer to me? If this is their religion, let it be. But they should not be close to the Muslims. They should not assume any position in the government. They should not rule at all. So Abu Musa tried to convince Umar, may Allah be pleased with him. And he said, come on, Umar, may Allah be pleased with you. This guy is a learned person. He is excellent in bookkeeping. He does wonders. You know, he works with Excel, with Access, with all these programs, in a sense. He's excellent. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, drew the line. And he said, the Christian is dead. End of story, wassalam. Which meant that, okay, let's assume what you're saying is correct. He died. What are you going to do? Well, the natural thing is appoint someone else and look among the Muslims for someone who is as clever and as good. Then this is what you should do now. The Christian is dead. This man is no longer existing. You have to fire him immediately and look for someone else as if he had died. So it's the same thing. Now it is your choice to make it, and it's your decision to make it. He is gone. He is fired. It's over. This is how, may Allah be pleased with him, looked at running the Muslim country, at running the Muslim state. It was not to be run except by Muslims. From this, we understand that if we had a Muslim ruler, he must not have any non-Muslim in his government. And if he does, then this is a big mistake. This is not permissible. We must not give them any position in ruling our lives because they're not Muslims. Once they accept Islam, they're more than welcome to come and join. But because they do not share with us our beliefs, our rules, they should not be part of the Muslim government. And they should not even be part of the Muslim ruling department in a company. So they should not be part of the management. They should not take care or take responsibility over Muslims under them, because primacy is for the Muslims over the others, because they treat others fairly and in a just manner. Umar bin Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, had a lot of victorious conquests, whether in Persia, in Roman, in Egypt, and in the north of Arabia, in Sham, where Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine is. And it would take us ages to talk about these conquests. But it brings sadness to our heart to know that his reign of 10 years and 6 months came to an end by his assassination. He was killed, may Allah be pleased with him, while leading Fajr prayer. And he was killed at the hands of a fire worshipper by the name of Abu Lu'lu'ah al-Majusi. May Allah have his wrath and anger upon him. This fire worshipper was a slave to Al-Mughira Shu'bah, and he complained to Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, and Umar advised him to be kind to his master Al-Mughira, but he did not like Umar's answer. So he dipped his dagger in poison, and some say that his dagger had 2 edges, and he took that opportunity and went into the masjid in the front row behind Umar. And while was Umar coming to lead the prayer, as he said Allahu Akbar, the man attacked Umar and he stabbed him in his stomach, may Allah be pleased with him. And on his way he stabbed 7 more, killing them and injuring 13 others, until some of the companions managed to pin him down and kill him. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, realized that he was dying. He fainted. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, may Allah be pleased with him, led the prayer of Fajr. And when Umar woke up, asked the first question, what did the people do with the prayer? The first thing he asked, they told him that, Alhamdulillah, the people prayed Fajr, Abdurrahman led the prayer. Then the second question comes, who was it who attacked me? They told him Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi. And he said, Alhamdulillah, that it was not done by a Muslim. It was done by this fire worshipper. And I have always asked the people not to bring them to Medina, these non-Muslims who claim to be Muslims or who are still following their own religion, not to bring them to Medina. And they realized that he had only a few hours to go. The doctor came, gave him milk to drink, and when he saw the milk coming out with the blood, he told him that he has only a few hours to go. People were coming to visit, and he was in pain and agony. But he knew that it was only a few minutes for him, departing him or keeping him away from entering paradise. Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, came and said, MashaAllah, Umar, you were among those who the Prophet ﷺ died while he was pleased with them. And you were always with the Prophet. The Prophet says, I went with Abu Bakr and Umar, and I came with Abu Bakr and Umar. And Allah made you victorious, and we have conquest around Arabia because of Allah, and then afterwards because of you. So inshallah, these are all good tidings for you. And Umar said to Ibn Abbas, will you testify about this on the Day of Judgment? And Ibn Abbas says, yes. And then Umar said, by Allah, I wish that I had nothing to do with this, neither rewarded nor punished. I wish that I was not in that position. And he said his famous word that if someone calls from the heavens saying that everyone is in hell except one person, I would have wished that I was this person. And if someone says everyone is in paradise except one, I would have feared to be that one. Umar, on his dying, may Allah be pleased with him, comes in a man from the Ansar, from the people of Medina, and he says, and he praises Umar, and he says good things about Umar, and he says that, be patient, Umar, you are the beloved companion of the Prophet, and Allah would take you to paradise. And Umar is receiving this visitor with a smile. As the man walks out, Umar looks at him, and he sees that his garment is dragging. He calls him back, come my son. And the man comes and he says, my son, your apron, your dress, your garment is exceeding heels. So uplift it, because this is a sin. It is better to you at the sight of Allah, and it is more preserving for your garments from being torn and getting dirt from the floor. At this point, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, did not neglect, enforce virtue. At this point, on his dying bed, he did not say, the hell with him, I'm dying. No, he took the opportunity to teach the boy, to give him advice. Look at us nowadays. So many wrong things we see, and we turn the face to the other direction. So many right things not being practiced, and we never get out of our ivory towers to advise people that you should do this. This was not the custom and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, nor of Abu Bakr, nor of Umar. Umar is displaying this at the last moments of his life. He is enforcing virtue. He is instructing this boy that, look, you are committing sin by dragging your garment, by dragging your clothes below your heel. Uplift it. And this is not only for prayer. This is throughout the day. You cannot have a man, that is, have his clothes exceeding his ankles, that is. This was the teachings of Umar, and by his assassination, one of the greatest pages of history is folded. And with that, we come to the conclusion of today's program. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Muhammad, peace be upon his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last, as he was a mission of the greatest task. There was only moral degeneration. People clung to idol adoration. For all nations he was